Hey guys, I'm not dead yet, even though I've been gone for like 22, 23 days and counting. I'm still here, deciding what the hell I'm working on. And I think I'm just gonna point all my focus on the Sonic Frontiers right quick. I played Final Horizons multiple times lately, and I'm just kind of like, I gotta talk about this. Because anytime anyone talks about Sonic Frontiers, they're always just speaking it in a native light. They don't really try to give it, they don't try to give it any kind of good criticism for its difference in gameplay and how it's styled for once. And I'm just here to say, I think it was fun. I love the base game. I could agree with the ending that it could have been better, which why Final Horizons is clearly peak. But it's just like, no, there's no but. I generally think that Sonic Frontiers was a good game. I love all the references to different titles, the different characters, the different villains, which honestly made me sit there and think for a while that, oh man, does that mean that half this shit was real? Was it canon now? Is Sonic Frontiers establishing a new canon that would be kind of cool? I was like, because he mentions the Black Arms, and I would never think that Sega or Sonic Team of all people will ever acknowledge Shadow the Hedgehog of all games. That's like them mentioning Sonic 06, even though by a canonical standpoint that game doesn't exist really. That game technically doesn't exist. It's like its own pocket dimension because it begins and ends with a retcon. So so it's just kind of like they mentioned the Black Arms, the Black Arms, the game that everyone thought was so edgy because Shadow shot people and cursed, which is still my top Sonic game to this day. Changed my mind. So honestly, it makes me kind of question, is this gonna be a new direction for the Sonic franchise? That is all the previous things are gonna be canon. He mentions the Babylon Rogues. Even Eggman mentions them. So it's kind of like, so the Sonic Riders series exists too? And does every other game exist, or is it just one of those, the events, the characters exist, but not the events? So I'm just kind of like, well, what would be the better preference? Did the games exist and all those events happen, or did the characters exist? Because I wouldn't mind either or, because at least then that puts all forgotten characters like the Babylon Rogues, the Black Arms, prized GUN figures, a lot of characters. Hell, friggin' at the end of the damn game they mentioned Styx. So Styx exists in that version and not within the Sonic Boom universe, which now is asking, does Sonic Boom exist, or that was just a moment in time, or was Styx such a memorable character that they pull it out of that universe and bring it to that one? Which is wait a fucking minute, Styx exists in this one? Who's next? The custom character from Forces? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens since all this referencing. And I like the characterization on this one. I like how it's a lot different, It's not the same as previous titles. It reminds me of Unleash and Lost World in terms of character direction, the writing. It feels so different, And even Eggman feels different. Eggman doesn't feel like Eggman. Eggman doesn't feel like I'm Dr. Ira Robotnik. I'm coming here to destroy the world or capture it or do something with it and make Eggman like this guy is just generally not the villain of this game for once. And that's not saying it as Eggman was here the entire game and then the final boss just slaps him out of existence because we had previous games that did that, i.e. Unleash. Oh, was it Unleash? Huh. Was it? Oh yeah, Adventure. I was gonna be stupid for a second. I was gonna be like, wasn't like 3 different bosses that slapped Eggman out of existence so they could be the final boss? But that's not the point of it. The point being, he's so different. Eggman actually has a deep character towards him for once. That's not saying it outside the IDW comics or anything like that. He has egg memos when he talks about the situation he's in, cyberspace, old rivals and partners and things like that. It's just hey man, are you okay? Usually you're full of piss and vinegar, full of ego and spite. Even in a hopeless situation, you'll still come out on top. And just to have Eggman have a lot more I guess to have a lot more thought with him. It feels kind of refreshing. You know, he's always not being like, can't wait to get here so I can go crush Sonic and take over the world and make Eggman Land 3.8. You know, he's just reflecting. Hell, even his secondary partner in crime, Sage, is more or less like, I guess, like the good man to Eggman, which I think is kind of cute that that's pretty much his daughter figure. Which I'm now hoping that Sonic Team will keep her consistently in the games going forward, or hell, just make her a reference. I wouldn't mind that, because Sonic Frontiers really did build up Sage to be like a really important character, especially how the base game went and the DLC went to boot, to go as far as to not only kill her character but resurrect her, because, you know, Final Horizons and shit like that. But it feels kind of good, you know. It's like I'm hoping. I'm not saying she's a play a more prominent role in the future games going forward, but it'd be nice if she made cameos, like if she was by Eggman, like when he's like floating in his little egg ship thing, and she's like, "Oh, what's up, Sonic?" You know, like have Sage still be like good, you know. It's like I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind Sage still working for Eggman, but she's like good. And Eggman's like, he's not as evil going forward. Like he's still a villain, but he's not like just straight blah ha 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 ha. You know, the world will crumble underneath the Eggman empire. You know, 'cause I feel like that's what Sage is gonna do. And honestly, if Sonic games are over after that, I can see Eggman retiring with Sage. Because Eggman will have a successor and a daughter figure. He has something to actually, he has something to protect now and care about, which is different from Eggman's usual, everyone's a tool to him until they end up betraying him, or they betray him, or vice versa. So it feels kind of crazy that he has that. It's like, I don't know, it's like Eggman just seems a lot more human in this game than previous titles, where it was just straight to evil without much of a second glance. With the exceptions of 06, but again, that was Sonic 06, and that doesn't exist pretty much. But there's Lost World. Granted, he was still the villain beginning and end, but they're in the middle of it when the Zeddies took over, and it pretty much forced that man to pretty much be with Sonic, begrudgingly have an alliance. It was still kind of crazy that he still spoke, you know, relatively nice. You know, yelling at the Zeddies from taking over, and he's like, saying he's gonna take everything from them and crush them, to trying to offer some remorse toward Tails, who sacrificed himself to save Sonic from a trap. It just feels human, you know? And I gotta say, I love the open world aspect of a Sonic game. It feels good. I like it. It feels a lot better compared to, like, you know, Unleash. We did have open world aspects, but they only was like the hub world, really. We didn't really go anywhere in terms of open world. It was 06, but, you know, we don't talk about 06 too much. I keep mentioning 06. It's not the point of this video. The point of it is, I like the experimentation of having an open world Sonic game where you can go do what you want, explore what you want, grind on rails, jump on like high things, just fight enemies. I like the open world aspect of it. It certainly beats the whole linear from point A to point B, go to location, get cutscene, beat stage, get cutscene, you know? It gives the game a lot more like padding time, so I don't feel like the game is longer than it needs to be, or it's just shorter. Like the stages there don't feel long. The stages, I think, to me, suffers from the Sonic Forces problem of being like less than 30 seconds to beat. Which, I mean, I guess in this case of Sonic Frontiers, I don't mind, because at least I have the open world aspects to go back to. And some of the music in Sonic Frontiers is really good, including like some of the stage music. I think I like the second stage from the first island, because that was really a bop. Even though all the songs were just end up being like dubstep-esque music or funk. So I'm just kind of like, not bad. It's pretty good. I like it. I think the one thing I think that's just my sentiment. Being an old Sonic player and playing stages that last for like 30 minutes, I'm just kind of like, man, I hate how these stages only last for like 3 seconds and then it's just kind of over how much of a second dot. So it makes me kind of feel kind of sad that I don't get to really truly enjoy the music there while I'm bopping to it, you know? What else? Another thing I'm starting to love about it is all the puzzles and stuff. Some of them, yes, maybe repetitive as usual, but I generally like them. Some of them actually were challenging because I think I spent like one of them on like the final island for like God knows how many minutes trying to get this one last ring to get. It was frustrating for a while. I had to look up a YouTube guide, where it goes against every pride as a gamer to look up a YouTube guide how to beat it. What else is good? I said the music is pretty great. I actually love the music. All the island themes have really good themes to them, and they fit with their corresponding, like, I guess, theme. You know, like got the grass one, the desert one, like a volcano and ashen one. Like the final island. It's all really good. The bosses are fun. They all themselves have really good themes to go to boot. Even though I probably heard them like a million times when Sonic Frontiers was coming out, because all the memes, it all like the Virgil like shattering meme, because like it's showing you a little moment of degeneracy. It's just like Sonic Frontiers, and it's probably showing like what, Undefeatable, Find Your Flame, Breakthrough, and it's like those are like the only 3 songs that everyone played besides the Frontier song, which I now playing Frontiers, it grew on me. But before playing Frontiers, I always hated those songs because they were beaten to death so badly that I was visibly annoyed every time I heard Breakthrough at all for like the 50th time on a TikTok or like an Instagram post. And I was like, this is ticking my will. This is like my 13th reason. Oh man. But another thing I could add, and I love how you get collectibles. I mean, even though like they all don't really matter, I think except for the egg memo you get from the fishing mini game, you get like some song notes from around the islands, and they have like various different songs from various different games from Sonic, like what, 3 and Knuckles to 2 to Sonic and the Black Knight, the 7 Rings, Sonic 06 for God's sakes, Lost World, Colors, Forces. They have like I guess like the jukebox player has like a lot of varies when it comes to songs. I wish they added more of them, courtesy of Final Horizon, because I really wish I had the island themes of all the characters he played as in Final Horizon, like Tails, Knuckles, Amy, even Sonic's island theme. They were really bopping, and I'm like, fuck, why you put this in the jukebox to be collectibles? That way I could play base game with New Game Plus and just bop to Amy's theme like forever. Really, out of all of them, I truly like Amy's island theme. I don't know, I'm always a sucker for her kind of like genre music. Not genre, but I guess I kind of like how it is. But moving on, I guess to Sonic Final Horizons, I would say Horizons is different. I love how the characters play, even though everyone says this is ultimately make them broken because they all have like high jump or glide, or you can play as Tails who has the tornado and can just fly. I don't think the whole point of it was supposed to be like brutally, stupidly hard and challenging. I think it was just like, here's an open sandbox, just go play. This is like the last thing you're gonna do anyway, so might as well, right? So just like have fun with this. I mean, they're trying to save you from the Sonic shit anyway, because Amy could just use high glide and like double jump and like glide essentially, like floating glide, to get to all her stuff. Because I'm pretty sure with every character, I pretty much cheesed all the puzzles that wanted me to puzzle. I'm just like, if I got to a high enough place, I'm just cheesing it. Nope, with no effort, without even a second thought. And that goes with Amy, because, you know, she was the cheese of all cheese. And then you had Knuckles, who just, who glide anywhere. Just get to a high place, and you'll glide there with no problem. And then there was Tails with the tornado, and he had his own, like, hover glide. Where it was like, man, this is too easy. They all have good island themes. They're all cheesable for all their puzzles. What more do you want? Oh yeah, you get the what? You get the new event, Starfall Plus, which is pretty cool. I like how it essentially just makes you get free upgrades to your characters, which is like, oh man, how did I get these little Cocos, which is like the game's, I guess, version of Chow, and I already maxed out my ring count. Holy fuck, Starfall Plus is the best. So I think I spent like an extra 2 hours in time, real life and in game, waiting for Starfall Plus to drop, so I could get every character to get Starfall, so they could be like at max level and be completely broken as hell. That's what I did with Sonic. I was like, alright Sonic, boom, you're done. New Game Plus, you're already out the gate a god. There's nothing else you need except for those stupid Master Cocos to get your boost gauge filled up. Other than that, he's done. He's just gonna kill everybody anyway. I think the challenge that came with Final Horizon, if I said Final Horizon, that Final Horizon's offer was the Sonic aspect of it. Now that was a slog and a half, because climbing the towers is a bitch and a half and leaves no room for error. Because if you fuck up and fall, you gotta climb that bitch all the way back up if you hit the ground floor. Unless you saved yourself by landing on a platform that wasn't too far down. So it's just kind of like, oh my god. I mean, hell, they were proving a challenge to me, and I played the entire game on hard mode up until that point. So it was like I got so frustrated because I think I spent 3 hours on like one tower trying to climb it, and I was just like, fuck this, I'm going on easy mode. At that point, I just wanted to beat the game. I just wanted to beat the DLC. I didn't care for the challenge. I just wanted to beat the game. And let me tell you, climbing the towers, even with easy mode, it's not even hard anymore. It was just easy. Well, I mean, I guess, duh. That's the whole point of easy mode. But doing it on like normal or hard will make it so frustrating. You never felt so pissed off. Even though I did for one of those towers, I was still playing on hard mode. I did beat it and climbed it successfully. And I liked the achievement, but I was just, at that point, my head was already hurting. I just wanted to beat it. Because the challenges inside those 6 or so different towers all offer various degrees of challenge, because you have to beat a certain amount of enemies within a certain amount of time, with a certain amount of rings. That also leaves room for no error, which is really hard as well. Even like the final tower, which is just essentially a boss rush, was a nightmare and a half, because you get your ass whooped because they only give you like 400 rings minimum. And I'm gonna just say it for anyone who doesn't know, just cheese it. Just do like 2 punches and then keep doing slams. You have to cheese that boss fight. You're fighting Giganto, you're fighting Wyvern, and you're fighting the Knight. And those bosses will probably take more time off your rings. I try to beat it regularly. I tried multiple times to beat it regularly. I at least did it 20 times. And with the 20th time, I was dead ass. One more hit from killing the Knight with only like 20 more rings left. But I fucked up on one quick time event, and that cost me the entire run. So again, I had to go to YouTube and figure out, okay, how the fuck you beat the boss rush. And then bada bing, bada boom, just cheese the fight with slams because I did the most damage. And it was over. And it was done. And I was just like, yeah, that was dope. I respect that. It was easy. But anywho, I say I truly enjoyed it, especially when it came to the final boss fight, which was just supreme in the end again, but this time they actually have a boss fight and it actually felt good and it didn't become a bullet hell shooter. And it was like, I enjoyed it. I think I spent another plus hour on the final boss fight because I didn't know what to do in terms of like the mechanics were. I didn't know there was a lot more to the fight than just just cheese it and beat the fight and win. And it really was depending on your rings, so you couldn't even fuck up on a fight even if you wanted to. So it makes it kind of good. And after beating it, I was successfully satisfied with the game. Like I was like, man, this was a really good game and a DLC to boot. I think the only thing I could have wanted more out of this was probably just more soundtracks for the jukebox. That's the only thing I could probably want the most out of anything. Because me being a huge music buff, I love listening to music when I play games, or if the game offering its own soundtrack or radio, I like listening to it. Or if not, I like listening to the game's background stuff. So it's just like, damn, this is a really fun game. With me going to the question is, why does everyone doesn't like Sonic Frontiers? Like I say, out of like the recent games that came out lately that wasn't a 2D remake, reboot of like the classic Sonic, I would say Sonic Frontiers is definitely on par, if not better than like the previous titles. Because in my personal opinion, the last good Sonic game was Generations, and that was God knows how many years ago. Did that game come out in 2012? Or around that time? That was like the last good 3D boost modern Sonic game. Because what? Lost World was mid. Lost World was okay, to be honest, but it was on the Nintendo Wii U, so it sucked anyway. It was mid. Forces, it had an idea. It could have went darker, but it became ultimately mid. And what else came out between that time that wasn't Sonic Mania, Sonic Origins, Team Sonic Racing? Mid, because All-Star Racing Transform was pretty much like the best racing Sonic game, because that's not counting the Rider series. Like, well, pretty much everything after Generations was just mid, and Frontiers was just like the shining light in the darkness. So it feels comforting to know that they're taking their time with this Sonic game. They took their time, they got what they wanted to do. Whoever's directing it and producer of it, like, they knew what they were cooking in that damn kitchen. I respect that 100%. So honestly, and it was like a ranking, I'll give it a nice 9. A 9.5 out of 10. It's a high ranking for sure, but when you compare it to all the previous Sonic games, and this is not being like a nostalgic dick rider, but in terms of like the modern era, including the Boom era, which is in between, you know, generations until this point, this has probably been one of the better Sonic games I played, to be honest. This is like one of the best ones, actually. And I'm hoping they'll continue going forward with this new canon lore-esque from the previous titles. Because it'd be nice to see that every Sonic game, you know, have like some sort of continuity that exists in the timeline. Because as far as I know, Sonic Frontiers is the new continuity. Everything before it pretty much exists. I don't think he mentioned Classic Sonic yet, so I don't think Generations still exist. But I know Forces did, so I guess by proxy Classic exists. So I'm just gotta be like, I'm having optimized hope for it. But that's gonna be it for today. I think I rambled on long enough about Sonic Forces. I have been your host with the most, and again, I'm sorry for being dead for so long. I've been playing the hell out of Sonic Forces Frontiers. God, it's not the point of the video. The point is, it's good. You should play game. You should download update to get the DLC for Final Horizons. Play Frontiers. I mean, on PlayStation it's probably still like $60, but I mean, I guess that's the price to pay because they don't lower their prices for the shit. But the point being, I love Frontiers. I think, honestly, if they keep going with this kind of direction, I think Sonic could be back as an IP now and go back to being normal and not having like these painfully mid games, and go back to actually making games where they were good again and were worth spending God knows how much money. But until the next video, I have been your lovely host, and I bid you adieu.